Have you ever met someone who notices everything? Not just the obvious things. The tiny pause before someone answers. The fake smile that lasts half a second too long. The strange shift in energy when a room suddenly becomes quiet. Most people walk past these things without thinking twice. But some people can't. Their brain keeps scanning, even when nothing is happening. And at first, that sounds like a superpower, until you realize something terrifying. A mind that notices everything also struggles to rest. Because when awareness becomes too sharp, life stops feeling peaceful. It starts feeling heavy. Today, we're going to explore the psychology of people who are too aware, why they overanalyze everything, why they feel emotionally exhausted, and how their own mind slowly becomes the loudest room they live in. Why some people become overly aware. Nobody wakes up one day and suddenly becomes hyper-aware. Usually, the brain learned it for a reason. Psychologists often connect this behavior to something called hypervigilance. That means the nervous system becomes trained to constantly scan for emotional danger. Sometimes this starts in childhood. Maybe they grew up around unpredictable moods. Maybe they had to read the room to stay emotionally safe. Maybe silence in the house meant something bad was about to happen. So their brain adapted. It learned to monitor tone, facial expressions, energy shifts, behavior patterns. Over time, this survival skill became automatic. Now, even in peaceful situations, their nervous system still acts like something might go wrong. And the strange part is, most overly aware people don't even realize they're doing it. To them, it feels normal. Their brain never fully stops analyzing. For most people, conversations end when the conversation ends. But for overly aware people, the conversation keeps replaying long after it's over. They rethink wording, facial reactions, tone changes. Someone replies with "okay" instead of "okay." And suddenly their brain starts building theories. Did I say something wrong? Why did their energy feel different? Are they upset with me? This happens because their brain is deeply connected to pattern detection. Psychology calls this predictive processing. Your brain constantly tries to predict what happens next. But in highly aware people, that system becomes overactive. So instead of simply experiencing life, they analyze life while it's happening. And eventually, thinking becomes exhausting, not because they are weak, because their mind never truly clocks out. The curse of self-awareness. Here's where it gets even deeper. Overly aware people don't only analyze others, they analyze themselves too. Every word, every reaction, every emotion. Psychology calls this high self-monitoring. Imagine laughing at a joke, then immediately wondering if your laugh sounded fake. Imagine feeling sad, then questioning whether you even deserve to feel sad. That's what hyper-self-awareness feels like. Their brain doesn't just experience emotions. It watches the emotions happen in real time. And after years of doing this, something painful happens. They stop fully living in moments, because part of them is always standing outside the experience, observing it. Why relationships feel so complicated. Highly aware people often struggle in relationships for one reason. They see too much. They notice hidden tension, unspoken insecurity, mixed signals. And once you start seeing the hidden layers behind human behavior, it becomes difficult to trust things at face value. A compliment feels suspicious. An apology feels incomplete. A sudden kindness feels like it must have a hidden reason, not because they are negative people, but because their brain became trained to search beneath the surface. The problem is, when you constantly search for hidden meaning, you eventually lose the ability to relax inside connection. And that creates loneliness, not physical loneliness, emotional loneliness. The feeling that nobody understands how loud your mind really is. Emotional absorption. One of the hardest parts of being overly aware is this. They don't just notice emotions, they absorb them. If someone enters the room stressed, They feel it. If a friend sounds emotionally tired, they carry that heaviness for hours. Psychology sometimes refers to this as emotional contagion. Their nervous system mirrors the emotional energy around them. That's why crowded places feel draining. Conflict feels overwhelming. And even normal social interaction can leave them mentally exhausted. People often say, "You're such a good listener." But what they don't see is the emotional weight behind it. Because the person who understands everyone else rarely feels understood themselves. When awareness turns into anxiety, at some point, awareness stops feeling useful and starts feeling dangerous, because the brain begins treating normal situations like potential threats. A delayed text reply becomes emotional panic. A small tone shift becomes a warning sign. A fast heartbeat suddenly feels catastrophic. The nervous system becomes trapped in constant alert mode, and this creates anxiety loops. The brain notices something small, then interprets it as danger, which creates stress, which creates even stronger sensations, which convinces the brain something is wrong, and the cycle repeats. This is why overly aware people often feel mentally exhausted, even on quiet days. Their body never fully relaxes. The biggest mistake they make, most overly aware. People think the solution is, maybe I need to think more carefully. But that's the trap. You cannot heal overthinking with more overthinking. The real solution is learning this. Not everything needs your emotional energy. Not every silence is personal. Not every emotion needs analysis. Not every thought deserves attention. Awareness becomes wisdom only when it has boundaries. Otherwise, it becomes self-destruction. Turning awareness into peace. The goal is not to become less aware. The goal is to stop carrying everything you notice, because awareness itself is not the enemy. The problem is attachment. You can notice tension without absorbing it. You can notice emotions without drowning in them. You can understand people without losing yourself inside their chaos. And when overly aware people finally learn this, something beautiful happens. Their mind softens. Life becomes quieter. Not because the world changed, but because they stopped trying to mentally hold the entire world at once. So if you've always felt too aware, too observant, too emotionally exhausted, there may be nothing wrong with you at all. Your mind simply learned to survive by paying attention. Now it's learning something new, how to finally rest. If this video felt personal, leave a comment telling me which part described you the most. And subscribe for more psychology videos about human behavior, overthinking, self-awareness, and the hidden patterns of the mind.